Oliver Bryant, an African-American man, had lived his entire life in an era where racial discrimination was an undeniable reality. From a young age, he felt the difference in how society perceived him compared to white people. The contemptuous glances, the cruel words, and the invisible barriers erected to prevent him from achieving what he desired. However, love found Oliver in a surprising moment when he met Lily Whitmore, a white woman from a wealthy and powerful family. Everything seemed to change. Their love was not just a simple connection between two people, but a breaking of the boundaries that society had previously imposed. Lily Whitmore, although born into a powerful and wealthy family, possessed qualities that not everyone could immediately recognize. She was a strong woman with a free view of love and life. From the moment she met Oliver at a party, the difference in skin color and background didn't make her feel alienated. On the contrary, it made her realize the freedom that love could truly bring. They came together as a daring choice in a world filled with prejudice, but it was precisely because of that their love became more resilient and steadfast than ever. Their love was not easy, but it endured like an eternal flame that never went out. Despite facing hardships, criticism, and strong opposition from those around them, they kept their relationship strong. Oliver, with his loving heart and resilience, always believed that his love for Lily would last forever, no matter what trials they faced. 60 years together, filled with ups and downs, they overcame everything to build a life full of happy memories. Together, they shared joys, sorrows, and dreams that no one could have predicted. But even though everything seemed stable, their seemingly immortal love began to crack in the final days of Lily's life. A secret that Oliver had never expected was revealed, completely changing everything he once believed. Everything he had thought was true and steadfast now seemed to shatter in an instant. Before she passed away, Lily decided to reveal a stunning truth that she had kept hidden for 60 years. This forced Oliver to confront questions he had never prepared for, and a truth that couldn't be undone made him look back at everything that had happened in his life. This is not just a love story, but a journey of discovery, of trust, and betrayal. Lily was not just a wife, a partner, but also a symbol of everything Oliver had struggled to achieve throughout his life. However, the truth that Lily brought to light before leaving made everything they had built shake. This secret not only marked the beginning of a new search, but also a confrontation with a complicated past that Oliver had never known. This story is not just about love, but also about understanding, forgiveness, and the deep wounds that sometimes cannot be healed. Oliver faces a difficult decision as he must confront a past he cannot change. Throughout his long years, he had always believed in their love, thinking that the difficulties only made their love stronger. But now, with the new truth, he couldn't help but wonder if everything he had lived through was truly the truth, or just a deception he had never known. When Lily left, she left a huge void in Oliver's heart, a void that only the truth could fill. This is the turning point in the story. What Oliver faces is not just the loss of love, but the confrontation with a secret he had never imagined. Their love, which once seemed immortal, now faces its greatest test. When Lily revealed the truth about the past, everything Oliver had trusted suddenly crumbled. Their story is not just about love overcoming barriers, but also about betrayal, understanding, and how each person must face the secrets they have hidden throughout their life. In 1950, in the United States, racism was not only a social issue, but also a clear division between social classes. Black and white people lived in parallel worlds, each carrying the weight of prejudice and division that could not be overcome. In this society, a relationship between a black person and a white person was not only condemned, but seen as a threat to the stability and order that racial values were trying to maintain. For Oliver and Lily, their love was not just a connection between two people. but a daily battle against the prejudices that society had implanted in each individual's mind. Oliver Bryant, a black man who grew up in the slums of the city, had witnessed the worst that society could offer. The discriminatory glances, mocking words, and opportunities closed simply because of his skin color. Every step Oliver took on this path had to pass through invisible but powerful barriers. Barriers that made him feel as though he was always on the fringes of society, like someone who was never allowed to touch the good things in life. Nevertheless, he continued with resilience, believing that one day he would live a meaningful life, loved without being judged by his skin color. Lily Whitmore, in contrast, was born into a wealthy family, part of the upper class of society. She grew up under the protection of her parents, received a full education, and was always expected to meet the strict demands her family placed on her. Luxurious parties, extravagant trips, and a life of abundance could not hide the truth that Lily always felt constrained by a life she had not chosen. Though everything around her radiated perfection, in Lily's heart, there was always a void that nothing could fill. She dreamed of being free, of living a life not governed by her family's and society's expectations. The meeting between Oliver and Lily began one summer evening at a jazz party. Unlike the parties in high society that Lily usually attended, this one was a place where race and gender were no longer factors of discrimination. There, people from all social classes, regardless of race, came together to enjoy music and dance. It was the first time Lily felt true freedom, a space where she was not under the pressure of her parents, not forced to live according to the family standards. At the party, Lily saw Oliver, a black man, charismatic and captivating. In the dim light of the party, Oliver appeared like a blazing flame, completely different from everything Lily had known before. His skin color was not a hindrance, but a part of the strength he carried within. When their eyes met, everything seemed to stop. Lily felt a strong connection she had never experienced before. This was not a meeting of curious looks or pity, but a deep understanding from two souls seeking freedom and true love. Oliver, in turn, saw something special in Lily's gaze, a sincerity and strength he had never encountered in anyone else. They did not speak much, but with just one look, they understood that this was the beginning of something that could not be stopped. And from that moment, a love began to blossom between them. A love that would have to overcome not only personal challenges, but also heavy societal prejudices. Oliver and Lily's love was not just a connection between two people. It was a direct confrontation with society. Every time they appeared together, they were not just two people in love, but a living declaration of breaking the boundaries set by society. Each glance from those around them, every whisper behind their backs, every opposition from Lily's family felt like a dagger to their hearts. Their relationship was not a normal one. It was a powerful rebellion against what society considered right and acceptable. Their love, though full of passion and sincerity, had to live under the threat of prying eyes, harsh words from those who could not accept their relationship. Lily, though loving Oliver, could not avoid the anxiety about her family's reaction. Her parents, who had taught her that racial differences were insurmountable, could never accept this relationship. The family's expectations for her to marry someone from her own social class made it even harder for Lily. She wanted to live authentically, but she also couldn't help thinking about her family, about what her parents had hoped for her. In Lily's mind, there was always an inner struggle between the love she felt for Oliver and the responsibilities her family had placed on her. Her love for Oliver was liberation, but it was also something too monumental to be openly declared in a world that could not accept it. Both Oliver and Lily had to endure their own difficulties and pains. Oliver faced societal prejudices, fighting every day to prove his worth. He was not only a black man, but also a man who had the right to love and be loved. Lily, despite being a woman born into wealth and power, had to face the heavy expectations of her family. She could not live freely as she wished, but her love for Oliver helped her realize that life was not just about meeting expectations, but also about those moments of freedom that she could share with the one she loved. Their love was not an easy journey. Every step was a sacrifice. Every decision came with a price. But in the eyes of Oliver and Lily, the pain and hardship were the challenges they were ready to face, because love was not just a simple emotion, but a battle they fought together. Their love, though facing many storms, remained a flame that would never be extinguished, burning brightly amidst the discrimination and prejudice. The relationship between Oliver and Lily, which began in the freedom of music and the flickering lights of a jazz party, quickly had to face the harsh truth of society. As their love deepened and became undeniable, the tension from Lily's family began to rise. Lily's father, a powerful and conservative man, could not accept this relationship. To him, his daughter falling in love with a black man was not just a personal insult, but also a challenge to the family values that had been built over generations. One afternoon, as Lily and Oliver walked together in the park, they had no idea that her father was secretly watching from a distance. The discovery made him furious. Unable to bear the fact that his daughter was involved with a black man, he issued harsh threats and forced Lily to choose, either give up Oliver or be completely cut off from the family. Faced with this choice, Lily felt a deep pain, as though the entire world was collapsing at her feet. However, despite the confusion in her heart, she knew that her relationship with Oliver could no longer survive in the shadows of fear and deception. She could not turn her back on her true love, even though she knew that this decision could cost her everything. On a late night, when everything seemed to be asleep, Lily and Oliver decided to leave everything behind. They didn't inform anyone, nor did they seek help from family or friends. They only had each other, and that was all they needed at that moment. Their quiet but determined footsteps led them away from the city, far from the critical eyes and tight supervision. The night sky seemed silent and still, but in the hearts of both, a flame of hope was burning. A new life, a new future, was waiting for them ahead. They decided to go to a small town in Illinois, where they hoped to start fresh, rebuild their life from simple things. Life in this town was not easy, but it was the beginning they needed. Here, no one knew who they were. No one cared about their past. Only their love and determination kept them together. They lived in a small house, lacking everything, from finances to medical care. But for them, it was a freedom they had never experienced before. The hardships didn't discourage them. On the contrary, they only made their love stronger and more resilient. Every morning, they would wake up and make plans to improve their lives. Even if they were small steps, each one was a progress. Lily, in the past, had always lived under her family's control, never allowed to choose for herself. But here, everything felt new and different. She was able to live authentically, without hiding her emotions or dreams. Even though she had to work harder and lacked the luxurious comforts she once had, every day was a day she lived fully and freely in Oliver's love. As for Oliver, he never regretted this decision, even though there were times when they felt tired, hungry, and hopeless. He knew that their love was all they needed to survive, and he would do anything to protect it. Every time he looked into Lily's eyes, he saw a burning flame of hope. They had nothing but each other, and that was the most precious thing. But even though they had found a home in this small town, the past still lurked from afar. Whenever she thought about her family and the loved ones who had abandoned her, Lily couldn't help but feel a deep pain. She was always haunted by what she had left behind, but her love for Oliver was the only thing that allowed her to live fully. On late nights, when they sat together under the dim oil lamp, they talked about future dreams, hopes that neither had dared to dream before. Despite the difficult circumstances, they found joy in the simplest things, like having dinner together or having long conversations at the end of the day. Their love, despite all the challenges they faced, remained strong. Each difficulty, each sorrow only brought them closer, not just as lovers, but as partners who shared every moment of life. And in the small town in Illinois, Lily and Oliver found true love, a place where there were no societal prejudices, where they could love freely without being judged. Though life was not easy, with each other, they knew they could overcome anything. And it was in these hard months that they built a happy family, from hardships and shortages no one could have imagined. The darkest days had passed, and a future full of hope awaited them ahead. Their love was not just the beginning of a new life, but also a testament to the power of true love, overcoming all barriers and hardships. The lives of Oliver and Lily had begun anew, but like many others, they could not avoid the challenges that followed. Their love, though strong and resilient, was not always enough to overcome every difficulty. They knew that love was the only thing they could hold on to, but beyond love, they also had to face the harsh realities of life, challenges that no one could escape. Lily and Oliver decided to marry in a small church, a cozy yet simple space, with no presence of family, no friends. This decision could be considered bold for them, as they were fully aware that their relationship was not accepted by their families and society. But love had made them strong, and on that day, in the quiet moments of the ceremony, they had only each other and their vows. This was a promise not only to each other, but a promise to the life they were trying to build. In that simple space, they understood that their love had overcome all the challenges before them. The early days of this marriage were not easy. They had to face many difficulties, not only financially, but socially. Lily, though she had left her home and family, could not escape the discriminatory glances from those around her. The community where they lived, though not large, was enough to create constant gossip about their relationship. People could not accept that a white woman from an upper-class family could marry a black man, someone whom society viewed differently. The stories behind their backs, the whispers about their union, were like sharp thorns piercing the hearts of Lily and Oliver. While Oliver struggled with prejudice and the difficulty of maintaining his family's life, Lily also found it challenging. She felt the pressure from the words of others, but she knew she could not go back. She loved Oliver, and this love was everything to her. However, the harshness of life sometimes made her wonder if she could continue enduring these challenges for long. At times, she felt like she was living in a different world, a world where her family's rules and standards could not apply. But she also knew that if she left, she would lose everything. Their love continued to be tested when they had 2 children, Isaac and Margaret. These children were their greatest joy in life, but also the burdens they had to face. When their first child was born, everything seemed to become really difficult. Oliver, though he loved his child dearly, found their financial life always unstable. They worked day and night to ensure their children would never go without. But the difficulties kept coming. Still, their love for each other and for their children was always the driving force that helped them overcome every hardship. Isaac, their firstborn, was their greatest hope, and Margaret, their second child, was a gift they saw as a reward for all the sacrifices they had made. However, despite having a family, despite having children, Lily could not forget a great pain from her past. There was a secret she had kept hidden for many years, a secret that even now, she still could not resolve. It was the son she had abandoned when she was young. Before meeting Oliver, Lily had lived a life full of suffering and poor decisions. She had become pregnant by a man who was unworthy, and in a moment of weakness, she had abandoned that child, leaving him to become a part of the past that she never wanted to remember. When looking at Isaac and Margaret, Lily could not help but feel a deep pain, a lingering guilt about the child she had left behind. She could not tell Oliver about that child, could not let him understand that, even though she loved him, there were wounds in her heart that even he could not heal. Each time she looked at their children, Lily wondered if she had done the right thing in abandoning that son. Could she ever forgive herself? The love between Lily and Oliver was not only tested by societal challenges, but also by secrets that had not yet been revealed. The pains from the past still haunted Lily, and no matter how much she loved Oliver, she could not fully free herself from those ghosts. On the long nights, when she looked at Oliver and the children peacefully sleeping, the worry about the son still lingered in her mind. She could not forget the years of suffering before coming to Oliver, could not forget that it was she who had abandoned a child who, now, she had no idea where he was. Still, Oliver was always there for Lily, always loving her, and he did not know about this secret. He did not know that behind Lily's smile, there was a deep sadness that she could not share. He only knew that their love was the only connection he needed, and he would never let anything break that love. The challenges of life continued to come, but their love, though facing countless hardships, remained enduring and strong. They had built a small family, with beloved children and a cozy home, despite having very little. They had gone through many years full of challenges, but they knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. The love between Oliver and Lily was not a beautiful love story in perfect circumstances, but a story of resilience, of fighting to hold on to the most important things in life. And no matter how many challenges they faced, their love remained the one thing that kept them alive and made their lives as complete as possible. Since they began their new life in the small town in Illinois, the days of Oliver and Lily gradually became monotonous and repetitive. Although life was not easy, they remained together, building a small family filled with love. However, during this time, Oliver began to notice a strange change in Lily's behavior and mood, a change that he couldn't immediately explain, but it was clear enough to make him feel concerned. Lily, who had once been a strong and determined woman, now seemed to be retreating into herself, becoming quiet and distant. Whenever Oliver tried to talk to her, she often gave a forced smile, spoke little, and quickly found a way to withdraw into her own space. In the evenings, when the family sat together, she remained silent, her eyes gazing into the distance as if searching for something she could not find. Every time Lily looked at their children, Isaac and Margaret, she carried with her a deep sadness, as though she were torn by a secret she could not escape. Oliver couldn't help but notice the difference. He could clearly see that his wife was carrying some kind of pain that he couldn't share. An invisible distance was slowly forming between them, even though neither of them wanted it to happen. This change wasn't something too large, but it was enough to make Oliver feel uneasy. He began to feel like he was no longer the man Lily had once loved so passionately, but instead, he was a man standing outside a world that he could not fully understand. On late nights, when they sat together in the dim light, Lily remained silent, her eyes gazing off into the distance, as if she were lost in thoughts that he couldn't reach. As time went on, Lily's silence became more and more pronounced. Their relationship, which had once been full of conversations and laughter, had now become quiet and heavy. Lily no longer shared her feelings as she once did. She seemed to be living in a world of her own, where worries and reflections consumed her mind. Whenever Oliver tried to ask questions, she would often avoid them, unwilling to open up. His sincere words couldn't ease the pain that she kept hidden. Lily began to bottle up all her emotions, hiding the anxious thoughts deep inside. She didn't want anyone to know that, despite having a happy family and a loving husband, she still couldn't let go of the haunting past. The past that Lily couldn't escape was the son she had abandoned when she was young. The guilt and torment over that decision from her past had always haunted Lily. Even with Oliver, and with their wonderful children, Lily couldn't ease the pain of the child she had left behind. Every time she looked at Isaac and Margaret, she felt a painful comparison. Had she done the right thing by leaving her son? Was the child now happy, living the life that she couldn't provide for him? These questions repeated in her mind, and no matter how much she loved Oliver, Lily couldn't find a way to face her past. This made Lily more distant and harder to approach. She could no longer find joy in the happy moments with her family. The thoughts of the child she had left behind constantly plagued her mind, making it impossible for her to fully embrace what she had. The relationship between her and Oliver, which had once been full of hope and sweet moments, was now facing a challenge unlike any before. On long nights, when she lay next to Oliver in the silence, she felt like someone else. She was no longer the Lily he loved, but a woman carrying secrets too big for anyone to understand. Oliver, with his deep love for Lily, couldn't help but notice these changes. Although he couldn't fully explain the reasons, he knew that their relationship was slowly changing in ways he couldn't control. Every time he looked at Lily, he felt a vague sense of worry. He didn't know what to do to save the situation, to pull her out of the dark thoughts she was trapped in. He tried to be closer, to help her open up, but it all seemed futile. Lily couldn't share her heart, couldn't speak of the pain she was enduring. One evening, when everything was enveloped in silence, Oliver decided he had to do something. He sat next to Lily, gently took her hand, and looked into her eyes full of worry. He didn't say anything, just silently waited, hoping that Lily would speak first. But Lily remained silent, her gaze distant, as if she were in a place far away, unreachable. Yet inside her, a part still longed to share, to tell Oliver of the pain she had carried for so many years. But the hesitation, the fear of his reaction, kept her from speaking. She feared that if she revealed the secret, if she shared the pain, she would lose everything she had. Lily didn't know if Oliver could understand, if he could forgive what she had done, or if their love could withstand this truth. The conflict within Lily became more and more apparent. She loved Oliver, loved her family, but the haunting memories of the past and the decision she had made when she was young still hurt her. Every step, every decision she made was haunted by the fear that she couldn't do right, that she couldn't fix everything. And in that silence, she sank deeper into these vague thoughts, unable to escape. As time passed, the dark days began to envelop Lily. The illness she had been suffering from silently invaded her body, leaving no clear signs except for the prolonged fatigue and a pain she could not avoid. She was no longer the strong, decisive woman she once was. The worries in her heart grew increasingly intense, and everything in life seemed to fade, no longer meaningful compared to the secrets she had buried for the past 60 years. Oliver noticed this change, but did not know what to do to help Lily. She was no longer the wife he had once loved and trusted. Each day, she became more distant and silent, as if an invisible chasm had separated her from everyone around her. Although he was always by her side, caring for her and loving her, Oliver could not break the shell that Lily had built around herself. It seemed she did not want anyone to know what was going on inside her soul, the obsessions about the past that she had never shared with anyone. One day when Lily's illness worsened, she decided that it was time to face the truth. She had carried a secret that she could no longer hide. In the final days of her life, Lily knew she did not have much time left. She could clearly feel the destruction of the illness and the inevitable retreat of life. On a quiet afternoon, when it was just her and Oliver in the room, Lily decided to confess everything to the man she had spent her life loving. Her first words were an apology, softly spoken, but heavy with emotion. She looked into Oliver's eyes, her gaze full of regret, as though fearing that by revealing this truth, she would lose everything she had. But Lily knew she could not continue living in deception. She could not let Oliver continue loving someone he thought was perfect, while she carried deep wounds in her soul that no one knew about. Lily began to tell Oliver about her past, a past she had kept hidden deep within her heart for many years. She admitted that she did not marry Oliver because of love. Those words were a shock to Oliver, who had always believed their love was true and strong. Lily explained that, when she met Oliver, she had no choice but to marry him. She had lived a life controlled by her family, pressured by their relentless expectations. Lily was afraid. She felt trapped in a life with no freedom, with no right to make her own decisions. And when she met Oliver, she had no choice but to escape from her family, from a controlled life, even though love had never been the primary reason. "You are not the reason I love you, Oliver," Lily said. Her voice choked. "You are the only escape I had. I was scared. I just wanted to get away, to not be bound anymore. I chose you, not because I loved you, but because you were the one I could trust to escape from that life." Lily's confession left Oliver stunned. What she said seemed to tear apart everything he had believed about their love. He could not believe that all these years their love had been built on a foundation he had never truly understood. Oliver felt like a storm was rising within him, with no way out. He loved Lily, and he had believed she loved him too, but now he had to face the truth that her love was not what he had imagined. However, Lily did not stop there. She continued to share another deep secret she had never told anyone, not even Oliver. She admitted that, before meeting him, she had a son, a child she had abandoned. This was a decision Lily could never forget, a decision she considered a mistake, but in that circumstance, she could not do anything else. The son had been left behind when she ran away from her family to find freedom. And now, after all these years, that child was searching for her, not only to find his mother, but also to resolve the questions he had carried with him throughout his life. Lily choked as she spoke about the son she had left behind, about the constant torment she had felt over that decision. Each night, she could not sleep peacefully as she worried about the child. She did not know where he was, wondering if he would forgive her, if he was happy, or if he was suffering because of the abandonment from the mother he loved. These questions had haunted Lily for many years, but she could do nothing to change the past. "You don't know," Lily said, her voice trembling, "but the son I left behind is now looking for me. I can't forget him. I can't live with the truth that I abandoned a part of myself." Lily's final words were like a wave crashing into Oliver's soul. He did not know what to do with this truth. The feelings of loss, pain, and emptiness overwhelmed him. He could not accept that their love had been so complicated, that everything he had believed in for so long could change in an instant. But deep down, Oliver understood that Lily was not someone who could easily move past her past. She had lived a life full of suffering and fear, and all the decisions she made were rooted in her desire for freedom and happiness. He loved her, and although this truth hurt him, he knew she deserved to be forgiven, even if it was for herself. Lily stopped speaking, her gaze empty, as if she had said everything she had been carrying inside for the past 60 years. She felt a sense of relief, but also immense pain, as though she had just discarded a large part of her heart. Oliver looked at her, saying nothing, quietly holding her hand. He didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do to help her, but he knew one thing: he would stay with her until the end, no matter how brutal the truth was. Lily's story had come to a close, and although the truth could not change the past, it had opened a new path for both of them, a path they would walk together, knowing that nothing would ever be the same again. Forgiveness, understanding, and love would be the only things they could hold on to overcome everything. After Lily passed away, Oliver felt as though a world had collapsed. He couldn't believe that his wife, the one he had given his heart and trust to, had gone forever. The days of sorrow continued, even though he had prepared himself. But when the truth came, his heart ached. Every morning he woke up. The house no longer had the sound of Lily, and everything seemed to silently sink into silence. Her death had taken a part of him, making everything seem meaningless, as if a chapter of his life had ended without a goodbye. Oliver could not escape the feeling of guilt and the doubts that overwhelmed him. He began to wonder if the love they had shared over the years had truly been love, or if it was just a survival choice. Were all the things they had built, the memories, the smiles, the tender glances, just something built on necessity, not because their hearts truly belonged to each other? These thoughts kept swirling in his mind, making it impossible for him to stop reflecting on what he had experienced with Lily. How could he trust a love that, only after her departure, he realized wasn't what he had imagined? One day, while cleaning the room they had shared for so many years, Oliver stumbled upon an old letter, carefully hidden in a small drawer. For the first time, as he picked up the letter, a strange feeling rose in his chest. He didn't know why, but a part of him knew that this letter would bring a truth he hadn't expected. How could he be prepared for a truth that Lily had kept hidden for so many years? When he opened the letter, Oliver's heart tightened. The words on the paper were written by the son that Lily had abandoned before she met him, a son that Oliver had never known. In the letter, the child, now grown, expressed a desire to find the mother who had abandoned him. The words were filled with hurt and pain. The child wrote about the years of emotional deprivation, loneliness, and the longing to understand why his mother had left him. Lily's whole life, even though she had built a family with Oliver, had always been haunted by that decision. How could Lily abandon the child she had born? That was the question she had lived with for all those years, and now that child had come looking for her, wanting to know why. Lily had never shared this child with Oliver. She had always kept this truth hidden, though it had deeply etched itself into her soul. Every night, when she looked at Isaac and Margaret, their children, Lily felt a deep regret, a pain that no one could understand. She loved Isaac and Margaret, but the worry about the son she had left behind had always been an irremovable part of her heart. She had tried to bury it in the past, but now that letter seemed like an accusation, a wake-up call about what she had done. Oliver looked at the words on the paper, feeling as though the entire world was crumbling beneath his feet. He couldn't believe what he was reading, unable to understand that Lily, the one he loved, had carried such a big secret. Their love, which he had always believed was the only thing they needed to live, now suddenly seemed unclear and hard to comprehend. Their relationship, which had lasted for more than 6 decades, was now facing a truth that he never thought would exist. And then, with unanswered questions, Oliver began to understand more deeply the inner conflict within Lily. She had lived a life full of difficult choices, had buried the past in her heart, but couldn't completely escape it. Oliver's love for her now had to face an unchangeable reality. Perhaps that love had been built on Lily's choices, not entirely from her heart. But did that make their love fake? Could Oliver still love someone he didn't fully know? He thought about the happy days they had shared. Each of Lily's laughs, each of her handshakes, each tender gaze now felt like fading shadows, no longer as clear as before. Their love was still there, but the truth he had just discovered made everything hard to accept. Oliver couldn't stop the questions in his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about the past Lily had hidden, about the child she had abandoned, about the choices she couldn't change. Was their love really love, or just a survival choice? And could everything he had lived with Lily now be overshadowed by this painful truth? Each step Oliver took now carried the weight of loss, of a confusion that could not be extinguished. He couldn't deny that he still loved Lily, but faced with the past she had kept hidden, he didn't know what to do with the overwhelming emotions rising within him. That letter had changed everything. And now, Oliver had to face a truth he could not escape. His sense of love, of family, of honesty, was now torn apart by the secrets that Lily had kept hidden for so many years. How could he look at Isaac and Margaret without remembering what Lily had hidden throughout her life? How could he continue living with the beautiful memories without constantly wondering if they were truly real? In the pain of this discovery, Oliver knew he could not change the past. But he also understood that, no matter how many secrets the past held, he still had to face the truth, no matter how painful it was. After many long days of contemplating the truths that Lily had kept hidden, Oliver felt a burden that could not be lifted weighing down on his shoulders. Although he knew that Lily's death was unavoidable and the past could not be undone, the truth she left behind continued to haunt him relentlessly. Everything they had built, the love he had given her, now seemed to be fragmented pieces that could not be put back together into a complete picture. And among all the secrets, there was one truth he could not ignore, a truth that he had to face, not just for Lily, but for the future of their family. Lily had left behind a son, a child she had abandoned in a painful decision. It was a secret she had kept buried for years, and no matter how much she loved Oliver, she could not escape it. That son, now grown, was searching for her. Not only was he the child Lily had left behind, but he also carried questions without answers for the pain she had endured throughout her life. Oliver understood that. No matter how hard he tried to deny the truth, no matter how hard he tried to live in the beautiful memories of their love, he could not avoid learning about that child. This was an inseparable part of Lily's life story, and now it had become an inseparable part of his life too. When reading the letter from Lily's son, Oliver felt that not only Lily, but also he, was living in a nightmare they could not escape. The child had grown up in loneliness, in the pain of not having a mother by his side, and now he was seeking answers to the questions he had carried throughout his life. Oliver felt that he could no longer live in this uncertainty. He could not let Lily's past continue to haunt their family. If she could not resolve that pain after all these years, then at least he had to do something to end that suffering. One afternoon, standing alone in the living room of the house they once lived in together, Oliver wondered if he had the courage to do this. He had loved Lily with all his heart, and he had trusted her. But now, the truth she had kept hidden was not only hurting him, but it was also disturbing the life of their family. Oliver knew that he could not ignore this. He could not continue living in the shadow of unresolved secrets. He had to act, not only to find Lily's son, but also to clarify the things that were still unclear, so that, in the end, they could have a life not governed by the past. Oliver could no longer endure it. He knew that their lives had been disrupted by this painful truth, and whether he liked it or not, he had to face what Lily had hidden her entire life. He could not let these secrets continue to threaten his family. His love for Lily, no matter how deep it was, could not erase the questions for which he had no answers. And when he looked at their two children, Isaac and Margaret, he knew that he could not let the past continue to hurt them, to make them live in the gloom of things that could not be changed. With this decision, Oliver began preparing for the journey to find Lily's son. He did not know where to go, nor what he would face, but he knew that this was the only step he could take to bring the truth to light. He decided to not only search for the child that Lily had left behind, but also to confront the questions that both he and Lily had tried to avoid. They could no longer live in the darkness of deception, and at the very least, Oliver wanted to clarify everything before his life and his family's life could move forward. Each step in this search was full of doubt and exhaustion. Oliver had to face people who might either help him or cause more harm. Every person he met could bring important information, but they could also be lies that misled him. However, with strong determination, he continued his journey. The memories of Lily, of the love they once shared, still motivated him to keep going. He could not let this truth remain shadowed in the darkness. He had to know. He had to find Lily's son, no matter how difficult this journey might be. Day by day, Oliver began to feel the pain Lily must have felt while living with this secret. He understood that she not only hurt him, but also hurt the child she had left behind. This was a pain that Lily could never escape, and now it became a pain that Oliver had to face. However, despite the overwhelming feelings of guilt and obsession, Oliver knew that finding Lily's son was not only necessary to uncover the truth, but also a way for him to free himself and his family from the haze of the past. Finally, when all the difficulties had passed, Oliver found the son Lily had abandoned. It was not an easy meeting. It was a confrontation with the past, a past that both Lily and Oliver could not deny. But after the encounter, the mixed emotions began to settle. They could not change what had happened, but at least they could start again from there, finding ways to heal the wounds that had long been left untreated. Oliver looked at Lily's son and realized something important. No matter how harsh the past was, love and forgiveness were the only things that could heal the wounds that time could not erase. The decision to search for Lily's son not only helped him understand the past better, but was also a necessary step for him to continue living with the beautiful memories and the courageous decisions he and Lily had made. The dark days have passed, but Oliver still cannot escape the emptiness that Lily left behind. Her departure took away an important part of his life, a part that could not be replaced. Although time has passed, the pain remains, like a wound that cannot be healed. However, amidst all the loss and sorrow, a spark of hope still shines in Oliver's heart, a hope that he found through the journey of seeking the truth about the son Lily had left behind. This story is not a clear-cut ending, but rather an open ending, full of unanswered questions. Oliver has found Lily's son, and in that meeting, they faced the painful secrets that the whole family had endured for so many years. But despite the pain and the inner turmoil, one important thing Oliver realized is that love and forgiveness are the only things that can help them overcome it all. No matter how cruel the past secrets may be, no matter how deep the wounds Lily's decisions left behind, Oliver knows that it is love for family, for children, and for himself, that can heal those wounds. In a profound moment, when Oliver faced Lily's son, a forgiveness rose within him. It was not an easy forgiveness, but a forgiveness born from a deep understanding of the pain everyone had to go through. Love is not always perfect, but it is that love, despite the pain and secrets, that helps them move forward. Love is what can help Oliver and his family get through the darkest of days, helping them find peace in a world full of chaos. Although everything is still not entirely clear, and every question still remains unanswered, Oliver understands that forgiveness is necessary to continue living. It is not an easy forgiveness, but one that comes from the heart, from the pains he has endured. And in that moment, when he looked at Lily's son, he understood that this was an opportunity to rebuild, to heal the wounds that time had scarred. Although the past cannot be changed, Oliver knows that he can choose how to face it. He can choose to forgive, to love, to move forward instead of being pulled back by the ghosts of the past. Love and forgiveness may not be the only choice, but it is the only path that will help him find redemption. Lily's death, the pain she left behind, cannot make him fall. On the contrary, it is the driving force for him to continue living a life he can be proud of. Every step in this journey brings Oliver a new understanding of himself and his family. He not only finds forgiveness for Lily, but also for himself. He understands that in the most difficult moments, when everything seems impossible to fix, it is love and forgiveness that will help us overcome everything. And when he looks at his family, at Isaac and Margaret, at the son Lily had left behind, Oliver feels a new hope. No matter how cruel the past, no matter how big the pain, love can always be the only thing to help us move forward. Love may not be the only choice, but it is what can save everything. And in that moment, Oliver realizes that life, no matter how many secrets and pains, is always a series of truths left unspoken. But it is love and forgiveness that will help us face it all.